Okay, if you're like me, you've wrapped up your introduction, you've got your heading typed, you've got your title and your introduction typed into the paper, and now it's time for you to move on to what's next, the body paragraphs of your paper. And you're wondering what to do. Well, I need to remind you how a paper works. So it's important to remember that a research paper has three basic parts. You've got your introduction, your body, and your conclusion. Now, each of you will write an introduction and a conclusion to your research paper or essay. In fact, many of you have written your introduction already. The number of body paragraphs will depend on your research. Everyone is going to have at least one body paragraph to present the information that answers their focus question. However, some of you will have two body paragraphs, or maybe three or even four, because you uncovered a lot of information that you hope to share. Now, the parts of a body paragraph are also pretty simple. It sounds basic, but any good paragraph has three parts. There's going to be a topic sentence, some supporting sentences, and a conclusion. In other words, tell your reader what you're about to tell them, then tell them, and then remind them of what you just told them. Your topic sentence is going to be the sentence that tells the reader the main idea, or what the paragraph will be about. Your first supporting sentence is actually evidence, some of the notes that you took. So you're going to give a quote or a paraphrase that relates to that main idea, that relates to that topic sentence. Now, you can't stop there. After you give evidence, you also have to give a second supporting sentence, which is an explanation. This sentence is your writing only, and in this sentence you explain the meaning of the evidence that you shared in the previous sentence. Now, you'll continue doing that in this paragraph if you have more research. If you've got more evidence or examples to give from your research, then you're going to need additional supporting sentences. Once you've presented all of your evidence and explained it, you are going to provide a concluding sentence. And this sentence will remind the reader of the topic sentence and the main idea. A good way to think about that is just think about rewriting the first sentence in a new way. So if you look at this, a very basic paragraph is going to have at least four sentences. A topic sentence, at least one piece of evidence, at least one explanation, and then a conclusion. 4 sentences for the shortest, most basic paragraph. Again, more evidence is going to lead to longer paragraphs. It's important to note, however, that writing is an art form. So you can't just throw these pieces together on a page and expect it to sound good. You need connective words. You need transition words. Words and phrases that connect these sentences or connect these ideas to one another. You're going to get some of these to put in your notebook. If this is Friday, you've already gotten this stuff. If you're watching this early, you haven't gotten this yet, but you can watch this later on the video. Some good transition words and phrases to use are listed here. There's a list of words you can begin paragraphs with, words that you can connect ideas within a paragraph, and words that you might want to use when you conclude or close a paragraph. So feel free to use these as you're writing. These can be part of your writing toolbox. So again, if I go back to my paper, I'm ready to write one of those body paragraphs where I'm going to give a topic sentence, I'm going to give some evidence, I'm going to explain that evidence, and when I'm done doing that, I'm going to conclude. Well, before I start writing, I need to review my notes. Now, if you look at my notes so far, I'm just going to show part of my notes. You'll notice that I have gone through and identified where I'm planning to put this information in my paper. You'll notice this first fact, which covered 2 boxes, I plan to put in supporting paragraph 1 or body paragraph 1. This second piece of information I'm also going to put in my first supporting or first body paragraph. And this third piece of information I felt would fit best in my third or my first body paragraph, even though I'm ultimately not going to use it. Now, depending on how much information you have, you may have enough information to have a second or a third supporting paragraph. For this example, though, I'm just going to write one supporting paragraph, and I'm going to use 2 facts. Okay, 2 facts. So let's check in on our math real quick. So checking in on my math, I'm for sure going to have one topic sentence. I'm going to give one piece of evidence, so that's up to 2 sentences. I'm going to explain that evidence, so that's 3 sentences. Then I have a second fact that I'm going to give, so I'm going to give another piece of evidence because I'm repeating that. So that'll be my 4th sentence. And then I'm going to explain that second fact that I present. So that's actually 5 sentences long. And then I'm going to give my concluding sentence. So my paragraph is going to be at least 6 sentences long. 1 topic sentence, 1 piece of evidence and an explanation, a second piece of evidence and an explanation, and a conclusion. So I've gone through these notes. I have an idea of what it is I want to present. In fact, if you look at my research paper right now, I've already stated that my first section is going to be something along the lines of educators know what is best for teaching students. So my first paragraph is going to cover that, and I prepared for that in my introduction. So I need a topic sentence. I need to tell my reader what I'm about to tell them in this paragraph. So my first sentence says, since schools clearly have some of the responsibility to teach students how to be good digital citizens, teachers must decide on the best way to do it. That's my introduction sentence. Here I'm telling my readers that I'm about to tell them about how teachers have to decide the best way to teach digital citizenship. Now I'm going to give my first supporting piece of evidence. However, before I write my piece of evidence, I need to throw in my transition. I need to connect my topic sentence with my first fact. So I add the phrase to begin, most teachers believe. What exactly do most teachers believe? Well, I'm going to use this fact here. And I'm going to pick it up right here. Most teachers believe the best practice is to incorporate age-appropriate lessons in a manner that's relevant to students. And you can see that's exactly what I did. And I am copying word for word, so we call that a quote. You can see I've used my quotation marks here and here. To begin, most teachers believe the best practice is to incorporate age-appropriate lessons in a manner that's relevant to students. You'll notice I have not finished my sentence because I need a citation. I don't want to be guilty of plagiarism. I need to tell where I got that piece of information from. So if I go back to my notes, I see that I took this fact from source number 1. What was source number 1 again? I'll check my online resource page, and I see that source number 1 is an article by Shannon Mon, Teaching Digital Citizenship. I need to use that author's last name in my citation to show that that's where that fact came from. So I put her name in parentheses, and I end that sentence with a period. Now I need to offer an explanation. I need to explain why I'm sharing that fact. So I've got my transition. In other words, because I want to explain it in other words, I'm going to tell them what that phrase means to me. In other words, the best digital citizenship learning happens when it occurs with what is already being taught. So I'm explaining how teachers make a decision. Okay, they incorporate lessons based on what they're already teaching their students. So now I'm up to 1, a topic sentence, a piece of evidence, 2 sentences, an explanation, 3 sentences. Now I'm going to give a second piece of information. First I'm going to give a transition, for example, and I'm going to share this fact down here. At the middle school level, Marchesano says it's important that students are starting to be aware that they need to evaluate the validity of what they are reading. So I'm going to share that fact. In middle school, it becomes critical that students are able to decide if the things they are reading online are trustworthy. You'll notice I did not copy that word for word. I paraphrased it. But because that idea is not mine, I still need to give credit to my author from source number 1, who is again Shannon Mon. I need to include the author's last name in parentheses here, so I'm not guilty of plagiarism. The period will come after that sentence. Then I'm going to explain that fact that I just shared. Here's my transition word, however, and now I'm going to explain Elementary teachers might feel that this skill isn't important to a 5-year-old, so they may teach something more appropriate for those students, like using a mouse. So now I've explained that fact that I wanted to include. And now, last but not least, I'm going to write my conclusion. Remember, the concluding sentence is just going to remind my reader of the topic sentence and the main idea. So I'm going to rewrite that first sentence in a new way. So as I said at the beginning, since schools clearly have some of the responsibility to teach students how to be good digital citizens, teachers must decide on the best way to do it. Well, to conclude, I'm simply going to say, ultimately, the teachers need to use their expertise in deciding which digital citizenship skills are most important for their students. And as I stated at the beginning, I have one topic sentence, one piece of evidence with a citation. I have an explanation for my third sentence. I have a second piece of evidence for my fourth sentence. I have an explanation for my fifth sentence. And I have a conclusion for my sixth sentence. It's a little bit longer than some of you might write. Again, 4 sentences is what it takes to write a basic body paragraph. And then as I go through my notes, I am going to repeat this process for my other body paragraphs. Again, some of you might only write 1 body paragraph, and that's great. Others of you collected enough evidence to write 2 or 3 body paragraphs, and that's great also. You want to present the most thorough answer you can. One other way we can look at this, which might be more helpful, is just to remind you that your topic sentence at the beginning tells what the paragraph is about. Your transition words connect your writing to the evidence. Your evidence is going to be a quote or paraphrase with a citation that supports the topic sentence. Your explanations are going to be your writing to explain what the evidence shows. And lastly, you'll have a conclusion that reminds the reader what the paragraph was about. There's my complete paragraph, my complete writing. And again, as I mentioned, I'm going to repeat this for my other body paragraphs. Hopefully that helps. Good luck, and good writing.